What is up, everybody? You ever have one of those days where you just go to do the simplest task that should take a couple minutes and it turns into a project for the day? Well, that's where I'm at right now. So I came over here to the paint booth, which is currently the Sea of Orange. And I just needed to move this and this out to put them in cold storage for now because I have something that I need to get in here to paint. And I went to fire up the big bad 8550 here, and bad things started happening real fast. The push button starter switch, here's a new one, stuck. So it kept cranking and I could not get it to release. So by the time I climbed out of the cab and around here, the starter was just continuously cranking and the batteries were drawing down. By the time I got this big old freaking donkey swung out of behind the cab, cables were starting to turn to somewhat of a liquid state. In hindsight, I should have just taken a pair of wire cutters and snipped off the signal wire at the starter, but yeah, I just grabbed a pair of channel locks and was gonna try to pull some battery cables off, but I got it undone. And then I started looking at the cobbled up mess of battery cables on this thing, and they were not so great, and they're all black. You know, you wouldn't want to at least have like red shrink wrap on the positive. But she got warm where they had this springy thing here holding it up. Yeah, the spring was becoming part of the battery cable. So I've had my C-Tech battery chargers on it all day. I already charged those two and load tested them, and believe it or not, they're all good. It didn't fry them. So we'll see once these two are charged up if they're all right. I hooked a string onto the cables at the starter and pulled them through. So I got something to pull new ones back with. I'm going to replace all these battery cables, put that starter button in, and while I have to be in the dashboard, I've got a new fuel gauge and coolant temp gauge. So I'll get the rest of these cables unhooked. We'll go over to the other shed and I'll bring you back while we build some new battery cables. All right, instead of this jumbled up mess of negative battery cable they had, I'm gonna do a cable for each set of two batteries instead of, they had it all daisy chained together for all four batteries. I'm just gonna do 2 and 2. With these fusion battery terminal ends, the trick is to heat them up slow, because whenever you push the cable in there, you don't want all that solder to just come blasting out of there, otherwise it doesn't make a good connection. You also got to remember to make sure that you have the terminal end the correct way whenever it goes in there. So I always just mark the cable and the terminal. All right, both sets of negatives I have made up. Now I'll duplicate that, but I'm actually going to use red cable for the positive. Bring it back when it's all done. All right, it's the next day. I got sidetracked yesterday. I'm currently laying on the floor in this little cab. Found all kinds of treasures when I took this cover off. Mud dauber's nest up in there by the brake valve. Whenever I restore this tractor, the cab's gonna get taken off, and we'll go through and change all these old weathered hoses. But the culprit of the meltdown when I went to start it is this. It is shot, super sticky. So there's the new one. It's kind of a pain to get it down here to get the wires on it, but I'm gonna get this hooked up and then we'll mess with that gauge. All right, I got that wrestled in there. Yeah, this gauge for the coolant temp and fuel has seen better days. The needle for the fuel gauge is gone. So, look at that one. There's about 1 million wires to go on the back of this thing. And I got this, while I have these light sockets out of the gauge, just gonna go ahead and put a couple new light bulbs in there, but I don't think there's enough room for you guys and me in here to see, but I'm just I'm gonna switch all them wires around and put that back in there. All right, I got the gauge put in there. My new positive cables are routed back and hooked up. No sparks flew or nothing started melting yet. Last week it was like 0 degrees and today it's 50. I had the block heater plugged in for like the last hour too, because this thing is a cold-blooded old girl. Those positive cables I'm gonna end up using like a P-clip under the cab, but not worrying about it now because like I said, this whole cab's gonna come off. There's all my new cables. Once these two batteries finished charging, I load tested them. They all passed, which that's good because that's a lot of money in batteries. Just sprayed them all, the terminals down with fluid film. Yeah, can't do this one-handed. Let me get these shut and then we'll climb up in the cab and see if she'll crank up. Well, I fired it up and pulled it out of the shop and brought it over here to the cold storage, and then realized I did not hit play on my phone. So, but check this out. This thing always used to be like wah wah wah. Listen to her now. Thing cranks right up. Perfect. Well, I said I had to clear the paint booth out because I got to get something in here, so might as well take this one and put it in the other shed too. Use the grid heater on this. This thing starts up pretty darn good. Really muddy out when it got warm like this. New alternator in that box. The alternator crapped out on this thing when I was running it on the auger, unloading grain bins. So everybody that has asked or begged that I keep this year-round cab on, you're gonna get your wish. I've got the cab upholstery kit for it. We'll dynamat under it, try to quiet it down the best we can, but I called every Allis junkyard in the freaking country, and they all laughed at me when I asked if they had fenders. Then one of the viewers of the channel sent me a link to an auction with one of these, an entire tractor on it. It just... I don't want to buy a whole nother tractor just to get the fenders, and I don't want to spend a small fortune for them, so we'll take this cab off and go through it and paint it with it off the tractor and put all new upholstery in it. I gotta do some welding back here. It's cracked, but anybody that wanted the cab kept on this one. There you go. You'll be happy. All right, last one in the paint booth. If you haven't watched this recent video on this SC case, it's a good video. You should check it out. But I drove it in here from the other shop. See if she'll fire back up. I got the points hot wired there. Oh. Choke cable's hanging up. That's crazy. All right, while we're in the cold storage, several people have asked in the comments if I still have this 2388 that I bought last summer on auction. Yep, I do. I've got a transition cone, feeder floor, whole crate full of parts for it right there. Yes, I will do videos on rebuilding that. That's not going to be till summer probably. Just not enough time. But the order in which things in this shed, I believe, are going to go, it's going to be one. That one's an easy one. We'll redo that one. 2, 3, 4. On top of multiple other projects that I have. I guess you'll have to wait and see what I'm gonna pull in the paint booth to start working on this coming weekend. But there you go, guys. A little bit of everything. Moving all the orange stuff around, but thanks for watching. Have a good one.